DA mayors are working hard to protect residents from bad governance and mismanagement by getting the basics right, delivering better services and having zero tolerance for corruption. This is the DA difference. The next broadcast will start shortly. Follow us on social media for the latest in news and politics in South Africa. Like and follow our page on Facebook. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram and X. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on anything. Be part of the conversation. Tell us what you think in the comment section. And please, like and share our videos with your friends and family. The next broadcast will start shortly. If you care about South Africa and want to make a positive difference, then join the DA. Visit our website at da.org.za for more information. Find out who represents you in your ward and district. Who are the DA mayors working for you in your town or city, and which MPs represent you and your causes in Parliament. On our website, you can learn more about our latest campaigns and how you can get involved. Join the Democratic Alliance to rescue South Africa. Become an activist, become a councillor, become a member of Parliament if you care about South Africa. Please visit donate.da.org.za. Donate to a cause you believe in. Donate to make a difference. Welcome to a broadcast of the Democratic Alliance. Did you know the Democratic Alliance is the stable anchor of the Government of National Unity? DA ministers and DA deputy ministers are getting things done with a special focus on job creation and economic growth, driving down the cost of living and placing the needs of the people first. Join the mission to rescue South Africa. The next broadcast will start shortly. Did you know the best run municipalities in South Africa are all governed by the DA? DA mayors are working hard to protect residents from bad governance and mismanagement by getting the basics right, delivering better services and having zero tolerance for corruption. This is the DA difference. The next broadcast will start shortly. Follow us on social media for the latest in news and politics in South Africa. Like and follow our page on Facebook. Follow us on TikTok, Instagram and X. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on anything. Be part of the conversation. Tell us what you think in the comment section. And please, like and share our videos with your friends and family. The next broadcast will start shortly. If you care about South Africa and want to make a positive difference, then join the DA. Visit our website at da.org.za for more information. Find out who represents you in your ward and district. Who are the DA mayors working for you in your town or city, and which MPs represent you and your causes in Parliament. On our website, you can learn more about our latest campaigns and how you can get involved. Join the Democratic Alliance to rescue South Africa. Become an activist, become a councillor, become a member of Parliament if you care about South Africa. Please visit donate.da.org.za. Donate to a cause you believe in. Donate to make a difference. Let's rescue South Africa. Join the DA, because the DA gets things done.
South Africa ranked as one of the most dangerous countries in the world.
Police are losing the fight against crime.
Criminals have actually studied the shortcomings of the criminal justice system, from its forensic capabilities to its detection capabilities and even follow-ups. We're seeing no prosecutions at all.
From kidnappings to the construction mafia to illegal mining, it seems organized crime is on the rise countrywide and criminals have become more brazen than ever before.
You've seen what's happened with the National Prosecuting Authority, where they are under-resourced, the caseloads are far too high. Then you have the correctional services, where the prisons are overcrowded. It's a whole criminal justice system that is leading to this.
Parliament's ad hoc committee is set to resume its critical hearings, delving deeper into serious allegations of criminality, political interference and corruption within the police and criminal justice system.
There has to be an attitude of zero tolerance on any sort of crime, small or big. That's what we need to see.
And you have to start with the government. Unless they take corruption in their own scenario seriously, why would the police?
South Africans do not feel safe.
At the moment, it is purely talking numbers as though our people are just statistics.
Crime is simply out of control.
Is your throw for the day? Huh? Guarantee you it's your throw for the day.
Good morning, members of Parliament, members of the media, DA professional staff, members of the public. Good morning and welcome to this DA media brief on our findings of the DA nationwide audit assessing the accessibility and the responsiveness of the South African police stations. My name is Jan de Villiers and I am the Democratic Alliance National Spokesperson. Help is not on the way. South Africa is one of the most violent countries in the world. Every day, thousands of our people are murdered, raped, robbed, and assaulted. And when they reach for the phone to call for help, when they are at their most desperate and their most vulnerable, the police simply do not answer. The Democratic Alliance has conducted a nationwide audit of over 1,000 SAPS police stations across all 9 provinces. What we found should shock every South African. More than half our police stations cannot be reached by telephone. This is not a bureaucratic failure, it is a constitutional crisis. A police service that cannot be contacted is a police service that cannot protect. Today, we will present the full findings of this audit and what must be done about it. I will now hand over to my colleagues, starting from my left, who will take you through the findings of our DA audit for public access to policing services and accountability within the South African Police Service. I present first DA Parliamentary Leader, George Michalakis.
Good morning, everyone. It is the South African Police Service's job to be a public service and to be accessible to the public. Every unanswered call represents a person who may be in distress, a victim of crime, a witness with information, a family in crisis. Over a period of 10 days, the DA called 1,025 police stations across the country using the official listed and available contact details. Calls were conducted during normal working hours. Where two numbers existed, both numbers were called. What we found was this. Out of 1,025 stations contacted, 571 could not be reached. Only 454 stations were reachable. This means that only 44% of police stations answered, and 56% of police stations could not be reached at all. This further means that in South Africa today, you are more likely to find a police station that does not answer than one that does. Broken down by province, and you can see the stats on the board behind me, the stats are as follows. Eastern Cape, only 45.7% reachable. The Free State, 30.9%. Gauteng, 51.3% answered. KwaZulu-Natal, 37.2%. Limpopo, only 10.3% answered. Mpumalanga, 39.5% answered. Northwest, 47.1% is reachable. Northern Cape, 46.6%. And the Western Cape, 75.2%. Limpopo had the highest failure rate, with around 89% of the stations failing to answer any calls. The Free State was second worst, with 69.1% of the stations not answering. A significant finding is that from among the national priority stations, also called presidential stations, the fact that they are a priority did not guarantee that they would answer their phones. Priority stations are given greater resources due to high crime rates in the area. Of these, in Gauteng, Hillbrow, Acacia, Ivory Park, Johannesburg Central, Kagiso, and Moroka stations were unreachable. In KwaZulu-Natal, Umlazi, Plessis-Lar, Pinetown, Phoenix, Inanda, and Chatsworth stations were unreachable. In the Eastern Cape, Aberdeen, Addo, Adelaide, Afsondering, Algoa Park, Alice-Dale, and Balfour stations were unreachable. In the Northwest, Boeketong and Rustenburg stations were unreachable, and in the Western Cape, Atlantis, Elsies River, Harare, Khayelitsha, Kleinvlei, Lentegeur, and Nyanga were unreachable. In a country with a crime crisis like that of South Africa, it is unacceptable that the police service is unreachable to those who need their help. I will now hand over to the DA Chief Whip, Glynnis Breytenbach.
Thanks, George. Good morning, everybody. Firstly, we must never forget that behind every statistic is a real person. When 56% of police stations do not answer their phones, the consequences are not merely administrative, they are human. When victims are denied access to the criminal justice system, they are denied assistance. Each time a call goes unanswered, confidence in the criminal justice system is diminished. The hope of all South Africans to be treated fairly and with respect is diminished. Evidence is lost, and perpetrators get off scot-free. The public cannot be expected to scratch around looking for numbers on social media. Landline numbers must be functional and must be answered with some urgency. It is called the South African Police Service for a reason. It is a constitutional imperative that this service is in fact provided. The South African Police Service must be responsive. Failure to respond means the first step on the road to accountability. It has a domino effect on the entire criminal justice system, often irreparably so. If the South African Police Service fails, then the rest of the criminal justice system also fails. It is imperative that the police service gets itself up and functional. Thank you. I hand over to Ian Cameron.
Thank you.
As an afterthought.
As an afterthought. I just want to zoom in a little bit here. So I think we understand the crisis in terms of people not answering, but it's important to give context as to what happens after that. And I think this is what sometimes gets lost. Now, as Glynnis said, we speak about someone, and George also mentioned someone that is in crisis that does not get the response that they so desperately need. So over the past 6 weeks, we've been doing a lot more station visits and just testing in terms of constituency work. We really, especially in the Cape Flats and surrounding township areas, we went and tested, looked, for example, at vehicle availability, infrastructure at the stations, etc. And I want to share some of that with you because all of this, including the phone numbers that don't work, are issues that police members have brought to us and said, we want to work, we literally don't have the tools to. You know, we had a case at one of the stations, and to make sure we don't embarrass someone specifically, a week ago, where one of the vans had just returned from the garage in Maitland, and the very next day when they drove out of the station, the wheel fell off. You can imagine the embarrassment for that police member as he leaves the station and he's meant to go do his job and the wheel falls off. So I'm going to give you a few examples. SAPS, we see everything at Madlanga. We hear how it's been hollowed out on a senior level, but let me share with you how it's been hollowed out on the lower level. In terms of 10111, we did a visit there on Monday. We went and checked, and they only had about 2/3 of staff available that they are meant to have on a shift. But now remember, 10111 is meant to facilitate response in serious incidents, or especially with serious incidents. So these station numbers are above and beyond what should be working. Now what happens is you phone 10111. Even if they wanted to arrange response, flying squad that's meant to respond to high-risk incidents hardly has 40% of their vehicles available. Everything else is in the garage, or it's standing at the unit, either broken, waiting for tires, or waiting to be towed. So even if those cops want to act, they can't. If we look at a place like Philippi East, when we visited there, they had it was, I think, 3 out of 23 vehicles at that stage available to do patrols and to attend to complaints. At Mannenberg, they also had less than 50% of their vehicles last week Friday when we visited there. These are all examples of how they should be able to respond, but they literally can't. At 10111, at the call center, SAPS does not even have Wi-Fi for the members to use. What some of these members are doing, just because they want to get the job done, they use data that they pay for out of their own pockets. They use their private phones, and then they get numbers of members and station level that they can call to assist in facilitating response because the system doesn't work. So this isn't just about assisting victims of crime. It's about assisting the good cops to be able to do their jobs that they so desperately want to do. We've raised all of this. We've done a total of about 30 visits over the past month. Every single report, anything that we saw in terms of urgency, has been reported to the National Commissioner and the Acting Minister's office. Some places we've seen a little bit of response. 5 of the vehicles, for example, that were returned to Philippi East worked for 2 days, and then they had to go back to the garage again. So unfortunately, we haven't seen sustainable response to this yet. Now, in summary from my side, and we can engage in discussion, is that this isn't some kind of a small failure on the side where SAPS is just missing calls. If they are, according to this audit, only 454 out of 1,025 police stations answered one or both of the available numbers, that means a total of 570 stations did not answer. That means, as George said, the majority of police stations tested were unreachable. They couldn't be reached if people need help. So who do you actually then call? And then secondly, it's not only a telephone problem. The fact that telephones don't work speaks to a larger command structure issue and a leadership issue that's not being resolved. And then lastly, the national SAPS leadership, and specifically in provinces too, need to be held responsible for this, because we speak about these things day in and day out. In annual performance plans of the police, we've raised this specifically: dropping off calls, phone lines not working, radios not working. And these are the basic tools that we need for both proactive and reactive policing. Thank you.
Thank you very much, colleagues. The core issue here is the South African Police Service telephone system.
and that it is not being answered. I'd like to ask members of the media to just identify yourselves, what media house you're from, your name, and also who you'd like to direct your question to. And if I may kindly ask that we stick to the issue at hand, the unresponsive South African Police Service. If I could see hands of any... Sunay, please go ahead.
Sunay Payne from News 24. So you guys have now said that you've directed some of the queries to the National Police Commissioner as well as the Acting Police Commissioner. What else can you do? Would you, for example, Mr. Cameron, call them to account given the fact that you are the chairperson of the police committee, etc.? What other avenues are you exploring?
Please go ahead.
Theolan from Independent Media. Just firstly to Ian and Glynnis, I have noted that you guys have been doing a lot of constituency work. You've obviously pointed out the issue of police vehicles, rape kits, and then also now with the phone calls. Do you feel that the alarm you've been raising about SAPS has consistently just fallen on deaf ears, and how difficult does it make your constituency work to just raise the issues? Then to George, have you been sort of relaying this information to your colleagues in cabinet to then lobby on your behalf when they have those meetings as part of the ministers' meetings, and just to get to raise the issue, and then what is perhaps the minister saying on that behalf? Thank you.
I think we can just deal with those questions for the moment. Colleagues, I'm going to ask you to proceed in the same manner. George, Glynnis, and then Ian.
Okay, thanks, Theolan, for the question. Obviously, we are lobbying in all spheres for this to be addressed. That includes Cabinet, but it is also the job of Parliament to hold SAPS to account. We also have various solutions on the table, which does not necessarily relate only to the phone calls to fix SAPS, but I think your question was a bit broader than that, which also relates to legislation and so forth, in which case I've personally been in contact with the Minister of Police itself, or himself. So yes, communication is taking place on all levels to answer your question. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So constituency work becomes much more difficult when you have an unresponsive police service, simply because, unfortunately, in South Africa, as we're all aware, crime is pretty universal. And daily, I get, and I'm sure that all my colleagues get too, complaints from people in my constituency and really throughout the whole country about, crime that has taken place, them being the victims of crime. And there's no response either to them phoning a police station, or even if they get through, there's still no response. It makes it extremely frustrating to try and deal with the criminal justice system when that very first basic step fails. It's impossible for an investigation to take place if the police are not responsive to the first phone call. It's impossible for the prosecuting authority to do their job if the police are not answering telephones. It just makes the whole system become dysfunctional, and we see the result thereof. So on a constituency level, people expect responsiveness, and they expect us to make it happen. It makes it very difficult.
So first, Sunay, to you. Okay, we've written to both the minister, the acting minister, and the acting national commissioner. I must say, first of all, since the acting national commissioner came in, the rate of response has tripled. It's much, much, much faster, and we are seeing intervention. Let me give you an example. We started raising the alarm with General Patekile, the Provincial Commissioner in the Western Cape, back at the end of 2024 about police members that are involved in the taxi industry. Never responded, in fact, even denied it at some stage. Started again at the end of 2025, ignored it. 2026, we raised the alarm about it again. And as soon as General Dumpani came in, we started seeing resignations, criminal charges, and suspensions of members that are involved in the taxi industry. So that's on the positive side. In terms of call to account, as part of the upcoming gang inquiry process, I can't speak on behalf of the whole committee, obviously now, but police response and 111, flying squad, etc., would logically form part of that, and that's something that in the entire committee feels strongly about. Something there that we need to take further, and this is where George's discussion with the police minister, amongst others, is so important, is the expansion of police powers. This is a brilliant option now for SAPS to say, but wait a minute, why can't we, at least to start in the metro, work with the city of Cape Town? And they've got a fully functional, very highly successful emergency dispatching system. Why would we not work with them on that? Why wouldn't we expand that and say we can have an immediate force multiplier? So that's that example. And then Theolin, to you, in terms of vehicles, at the moment we're not seeing a major improvement. There is a huge bottleneck. They don't have enough artisans that need to work at the different depots or garages. They don't have the skills, and they also don't have the vehicles and the machinery that they need to do modern work with. The frustration, as Glynnis said, with regards to constituency work is very, very serious, because you see or you hear the frustration from the police members themselves. Example, we see the SANDF being deployed, but TRT in Cape Town don't even have an email address. So, why are we pulling in the SANDF when the police aren't using their own structures properly? So that's something that the community and the police all ask for. And then the last two is, what it's highlighted to us is the depth of criminal members. There are 4 members at the moment at Philippi East that have been investigated for I don't know how long for being involved in armed robberies. There's video footage of them doing armed robberies in uniform. They're still at the station. Action is simply not taken in the province, and if it's like that in this province, I promise you it's the same in the other provinces. So yeah, it really becomes very frustrating, and the simple way is from a DA point of view, we're just going to do even more oversight. We're not going to stop because we don't get a response. We're going to push for more response, and we're going to visit more places and highlight more of these issues.
Thank you very much. Ian, George, would you like to say something in closing? Yeah, in closing, I just want to say, look, we know that the issues with the police service there's multiple issues with the police service, and we can sit here the entire day to go through all the issues that we know and that people experience on the ground on a daily basis. The message that we bring today is what Glynnis said, that the most basic and first step is problematic, and without that the rest of the criminal justice system fails. And the message that we are bringing today is to say that SAPS is, if you forget about all the other problems that are on the table, SAPS to begin with is unreachable to people who are in distress. SAPS is not responsive, and it is a serious crisis. If more than half of the police stations in this country are unreachable through the official telephone numbers that are available, then obviously you can put yourselves in the shoes of those victims and realize, but this police service is actually not delivering the service that it's designed to do. And that is the core message that we want to bring today. Thank you very much.
Thank you, George. Indeed. The shocking thing is this is not actually a human issue. This is a infrastructure issue. So would you like to add the question?
Yes, thanks.
Apologies. Please proceed.
Hi, thanks. Babalo here from EWN. Just a couple of questions. Where is the 10111 center? Where is it based? Is it in Pretoria? Just clarity on that. And what is the profile of these police stations? I heard the Eastern Cape stations that you mentioned. They seem like small towns, almost rural, in the Amahlati area there. I just can visualize where they are. What is the profile of that 56% that you can't reach? Are they in your cities, or are they small town rural? And trying to reach them, I know were you calling a landline? Did you try the station commanders? I know that when you look up police stations, there will be maybe a station commander's number, or just clarity on that. What numbers were you calling for the stations? And finally, what's your diagnosis of this problem? I mean, is it infrastructure? Is it non-payment of telecom lines? Is it what could be the problem, especially that 56% unreachable? I can understand the ones that ring, but no answer. But what do you think is causing this? Is it just neglecting paying telecom bills?
George? Thank you. I'm going to hand over to Ian after this to deal with some of those questions. But to answer your question, what the profile of those stations were, 1,025 stations is pretty much the vast majority of police stations, almost all of them. So we have phoned the smaller police stations, but we also phoned important national priority stations, of which I'm happy to provide you with the list as I've gone through them. But I mean, in Gauteng, as I said, stations like Hillbrow, Acacia, Ivory Park, Johannesburg Central, and in all the other provinces the same. So they are national priority stations for a very specific reason, and that is because they are priority in terms of resources based on the occurrence of crime in the area. So it includes those national priority stations. In fact, I phoned some of them personally, and of the 10, at one point, of the 10 I phoned in a row, national priority stations, not a single one of them answered consecutively. So it does not only cover smaller police stations, it actually covers the large crime hotspots as well. The numbers that we phoned were the ones that would be accessible on any databases that we could find on the internet. So the police's official databases, we had to search here and there to find the telephone numbers, go down to the provincial websites as well. But in most instances, it would be the telephone number that a resident would find if they Googled the police station, and they would say, this is where you find your police station. So anyone in distress, simply typing in the nearest police station, that would be the number that they would also find. In one instance, I had to actually phone the station commander in order to get a cell phone number, which was not made available to the public at that point. The 3 landlines that the public have were not reachable, and I had to phone the station commander. That happened to be in my hometown in the Free State. But you see, the problem with that is station commanders can't serve as switchboard operators the whole time. They have an important job to do as well. So it shouldn't be that you have to phone the station commander in order to get hold of the police station. And certainly in a moment of distress, the last thing that you're going to have to do or would want to do is to first phone the station commander to get hold of the police station. That's entirely unacceptable. I'll leave the rest of your questions for Ian to answer. Thank you.
So just in terms of profile, as George correctly said, it covers all of them. If you look at some of the national priority stations, specifically stations like Inanda, Ivory Park, Algoa Park, those are all so-called high murder stations. Harare, Nyanga. By the way, Nyanga didn't have forensic kits either last week. So this phone crisis speaks across the board in terms of profile, whether rural or urban. In terms of your question on 10111s, there's one in Maitland. There are several in the country. I think at the moment there are 19 or 20 operational 10111 centres in the country. Obviously, they've got different dynamics in terms of the service that they provide. Those are the only questions. Thanks.
Thank you, George and Ian. Glynnis, happy?
Yes, thank you.
I think to just answer the last part of your question, I mean, the reality is that when the telephone system doesn't work, it's an infrastructure problem. The SA police officers on the other side of the line want to do their jobs, but they can't do it if the telephone doesn't work. So part of what the DA wants to do is for the acting police minister to make sure that the right infrastructure is created. But that unfortunately needs political will the acting minister needs to have the political will to relook the system and create a telephone infrastructure system that is dependable so that South Africans have an answer when they call the South African Police Service. If there are no further questions, thank you very much, members, for attending, members of the media, and I hope everybody has a good day. Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Our first ever election campaign poster for November 2026 local government elections.
There's nothing as disappointing as you wanting to make a change or waking up and saying I want to make a change, but only to find out that you are not registered or you are registered in the wrong place.
Because if you're not registered, you can't vote, and you can only vote at the voting station where you are registered.
Even if you don't know who to vote for yet, buy yourself the option by registering to vote. Decide to be part of the group that decides what the future of our city should be.
But today we stand here excited and full of hope because we have an opportunity where we can register and ensure that we vote for a government that will get our city working for its people.
The choice is going to be very, very clear. You're going to have some of the same, where you have a failed government in place, or you're going to put a new government in place led by the Democratic Alliance. And we are asking you to come out in your numbers and register to vote and vote for the Democratic Alliance on the 4th of November.
So make sure that you are registered by going to check.da.org.za. Registration weekend is coming up on the 20th and the 21st of June, but you don't have to wait for that. You can register right now in the comfort of your own home. Remember, go to check.da.org.za
and come and vote for a new government on the 4th of November. Kyk wat doen 'n blyse.
Thanks for watching. Join the mission to rescue South Africa. Like and follow us on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and X. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit that notification bell. Join the DA.